I found some interesting statistics on Chinese EVs, which is that China produces now more than 60% of the world's electric cars and 80% of the batteries that powers them.
That makes
China
sense.
sold yeah, China sold basically 13 million fully electric and hybrid vehicles in 2024, four times as many as the US, meaning EVs accounted for 40% of total sales in the Chinese market.
Hmm.
What are they doing that's making I mean, I understand that they are simplifying the supply chains. I understand that they have these incredible state investment, but I guess on the technology side, how did it get so good so fast?
Well, the battery is a big part of it. So the battery, a lot of people see the battery aspect being commoditized a little bit. So it's just about volume, it's about cost, a lot of that is true. There's still varying degrees of quality in batteries. But one of the big thing that happened is LFP, so lithium phosphate batteries, which is a different chemistries. And before that, most were nickel-based batteries that were used. They're still used in a nickel-based battery, but now they're mostly used in a little bit more high-end vehicle. While LFP is a little bit less energy dense, which means that you would need more of them to have a greater range in your electric vehicle, but they are cheaper. And some of them can have like equal or even greater longevity than nickel-based batteries, and they also perform a little bit differently in the cold, and they charge at a different rate. But what happened is, like, for the longest time, all these metrics were a little bit below the nickel-based batteries, but they started catching up while the price stayed down, and that gave them. And I should note, I should have started with that. Only in China those were made ever. Now we're just now starting to see LFP being produced in other market, but for the longest time LFP was a purely Chinese product, and they started producing a lot of vehicles with that. And as they got better at producing LFP batteries, while the cost stayed down, they were able to catch up with the quality and the range and the longevity and the charging of the Western manufacturer, while just destroying them on cost. So, and on top of that, like I said, also the manufacturing is just top notch now in China. So if you're willing to buy like a mid-range to high-end vehicle, you're gonna have a quality that you're used to in the same mid-range to high-end vehicle in Europe or in North America.
I'd be curious to know what you think this will do to Tesla in China. And one thing I might like to add, which is again, in preparing for this conversation, one thing that really came up from people who observe the Chinese automotive market, and obviously the EVs is a significant component, as we just established,
Hmm.
is that apparently Elon Musk himself is quite popular in China. That he is
Hmm.
popular not just with the Communist Party leadership, but that the average Chinese consumer has a very favorable opinion of him. To what extent is that going to buoy Tesla's fortunes as BYD and many of these other automakers close the gap?
Yeah. Yeah, Tesla and invested in Elon's image in China, so he's still seen there as just like the West used to see Elon just a few years ago, just this kind of big entrepreneur, like investor, and like someone that lends rocket and build electric cars. So his image is still pretty much intact in China on that level. Tesla's main issue there is purely competition, and it's already a real problem for Tesla, and it was last year. Some of the best estimates so far even though Tesla hasn't seen a degradation in its delivery volume in China, its gross margin is basically inexistent. So Tesla is not making money off of its cars that it's produced in China right now. So China is basically a dead market for them in terms of profits. It's just they build cars, they deliver them. Some of them they export to other markets, and they make some money there. But the ones that they deliver there, they got into a price war that started in 2023 and then expanded a lot in 2024. So they reduced their prices greatly, started offering 0% financing. And 0% financing, when you have a 4% interest rate, it's basically a $2,000 to $4,000 discount on the car, depending on the car's price or depending on how much you're financing it. So this just takes it out directly out of Tesla's gross margins, and the competition started ramping up. So in the last few months, you have Xpeng, NIO, BYD putting a lot of pressure on Tesla, and they NIO Xpeng on the gross margin front, they don't have as much room, but BYD is making money off of its vehicle. And Xiaomi in the last few months has came out and completely blew Tesla out of the water with their Model 3 competitor called the SU7. Came out
Xiaomi,
of
like
nowhere.
the phone manufacturer.
Yeah. They were known as a personal electronic manufacturer, mainly for their phone, but they basically make everything. And last year, they came out with a car, and it's a close Model 3 competitor, so a sedan, and it has 10% more range than Tesla. It's a little bit cheaper than Tesla, has more features, like just a mini fridge in the back, which sounds dumb, but the Chinese market love these things. Like it's something that that makes a little bit of a difference. And within 6 or 7 months, they sold more of them than Model 3, even though they had to ramp up production too. So they both ramp up production and demand within half a year to compete with Tesla and now produce more than them. And today, you can get a Model 3 within 2 or 3 weeks, a brand new one if you order one in China. You have to wait like 40 weeks to get a Xiaomi SU7. So Tesla has to offer 0% financing, decrease the price of the Model 3 to compete with that and not make any money on the Model 3 there. Not too much of a big deal for Tesla because the Model Y, as I said earlier, is their big money maker. That's the most popular vehicle. It's a crossover. It's very popular in North America, Europe. It's pretty popular too. And in China also, they're starting to like their crossover there. And now Xiaomi is coming up with a very similar vehicle as the Model Y. So like the SU7 competes with the Model 3, they're going to have the YU7, which is going to compete with the Model Y. And it's expected to have a very similar impact as the SU7 has on the Model 3, squeezing Tesla even more, which is why even though Tesla just upgraded the Model Y with a new design, they are already offering a discount on the most popular trim of it, the rear-wheel drive version. So yeah, Tesla is having some trouble in China right now.
So then let me ask a basic question. If they're already in this place where they're not able to make money, now, again, we'll see what the future holds. But again, there appear to be significant headwinds for manufacturing, for technology, in every way that there possibly could be. How reliant on China is the overall health of Tesla? To what extent do they need China, not so much for the car sales, but for any of the myriad benefits it could confer in order to be a successful automaker?
Well, that's where you go into more speculation, of course. But I think if I try to see it from Elon's point of view, from Tesla's leadership point of view, I think they are. I mean, part of the degradation in Tesla sales over the last few years has been because of a shift to self-driving. So what they see is like they don't mind selling cars for a loss or no profit that much. I mean, Elon even said that, I think, a few earnings call ago at Tesla. Like, oh, we don't mind not making money on these cars because self-driving, in their view, is around the corner. They can turn that on with a software update and ask more money from their customers through subscription services or, selling the package for $8,000 now it's worth. So they strongly believe that, but they've been believing that, or at least Elon has, for the last 8 years or so. Like for the last 8 to 7 years, he's been saying every year that full self-driving is coming to Tesla by the end of the quarter, the end of the year, and he's being wrong every time. And, is this time going to be different? I think not, but some people think, and that's why the stock is still alive today. Even Elon himself said it, is like the only reason that Tesla's auto business is worth anything is because of self-driving.